What's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. I am so excited for this video because in this video, I purchased a new cinema camera and you guys have probably seen it. But in this video, I'm gonna talk about my 5 favorite things I like about this camera. And you're gonna have to stay till the end so you hear them all, but first things first, I'm gonna go get some breakfast and you guys can hear about the first one after that. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, also breakfast was great, but the first thing I want to talk about is S-Log3. And S-Log3 it gives you a flat color profile that's really just like almost grayed out and dull. And it lets you in the post-production process give you the most amount of color and information to be able to maximize the color correction on your clips. S-Log3 is by far my favorite because it gives you the dullest, cleanest look, and then when you color correct it and you do what you have to do, it makes the skin tones the right colors. It makes everything just so smooth. So with that and talking about S-Log3, I'm down in Seward Park right now because that's where I had breakfast, and I'm gonna go down to Lake Washington and take some video and really play with the color of the S-Log3 and really maximize what I can get in DaVinci Resolve and really show you how fun it is to color these clips. So like I said, S-Log3, it gives you so much freedom in how you color correct your stuff. And you can do it mostly with a lot of the other logs, but this just gives you the cleanest tones in my opinion. And that's really why it's my favorite, is you can see how natural the look is out here and how you can really pick up the gray skies to the color of the water, just to everything you're seeing. It's just the easiest to color correct, and in my opinion, the Sony colors give you the best colors for video. I'm gonna head home now because I don't know why I decided to wear shorts when it's like 40 degrees out and raining, but I'm freezing. And I'm gonna go home now and just chill because it is Saturday. All right, I'm home now, and as you can see, I'm gonna talk about the next thing, and it is a flip out screen. It's something as simple as that. It's really that. And as you can see, this camera right here is the Fuji X-T3. This was the camera I shot with before I got the FX3. And as you can see, no flip out screen. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're shooting video and you're shooting video of yourself, the fact that I can see myself really makes the shots a lot easier and takes away a lot of the trial and error period of shooting. Before, I'd set this up on a tripod and I'd have to walk back and forth recording, unrecording, just to see the shot I was getting and hoping it was in frame, where now I can just turn on the camera, flip the screen around, hit record, and I can see everything I'm seeing. So I'm gonna go to my phone now, and as you can see, this is kind of the setup I have going. I have my light behind me, my Amaran 100X, my aperture dome light, and then I have the FX3 right here with the 16 to 35 f2.8 lens, and you can see I can just see myself, and it's that simple, and that's how I set up my shot. But with that, there's one thing you have to learn, and I'm doing it right now because it is a habit you have to get used to. You tend to look at the screen, and when you look at the screen, you're basically talking off camera, and it looks real odd. So the idea is something to do. You have to look into the lens, and you have to get used to that because it just makes it more personal, because the second you veer off to the screen, it's so obvious to tell, and it's just something that you have to get used to when you have a flip out screen, is just talking to camera. And sometimes, as you see I set up, sometimes when I'm having long talks where I don't want to look, I'll just flip it like that, and that gives me no option. And then if I need to check my shot, I'll just go ahead and check it. Flip out screen is so simple and so important, and any camera that has video should have it. And then that's just not for like running A-roll and vlogging and stuff. When I go out in the field and I'm shooting B-roll, the handle and stuff, the fact that I can swivel the screen wherever I want and see whatever I'm seeing at whatever angle I want, very, very beneficial and makes shooting B-roll easier too. So better for A-roll, better for B-roll. Every video camera should have it these days. So to show the flip out screen on the last sequence, I had to use a different camera, and I was trying to use this. This is my Sony ZV-1, and this was my camera I bought kind of to go alongside my Fuji, and I loved it at the time. I had good reviews on it. It's a great camera, but after getting the FX3, it's just hard to shoot with this camera because this FX3 is just so much better. And I know like the price change and difference is crazy, but I don't see a use for this camera anymore. And when it comes to shooting something like that, I find myself 9 times out of 10 just pulling out my iPhone and shooting with this. So I think it's time to trade in the ZV-1. And as you can see, that is kind of what I'm doing right now. And we'll see what kind of price Glazers gives me on this camera and see if it's worth it. So off to Glazers I go. So I traded in the I traded in the ZV-1, and I did a clean trade for a Shinobi, an Atomos Shinobi recorder. I've been wanting a top recorder for my handle and finally got there. So let's unbox this thing and see what this thing's all about. We got the box, lifting it up, and then we have just the recorder. And it's a light recorder, comes with a recorder, and just some paperwork in here, some adapters, and a cord for plugging it in like natively, so you don't have to use a battery. But I did get one more Sony battery, a small little Sony battery that I can plug into that and use the recorder that way. What is extremely nice about this recorder is the fact you have all the settings right here. You got all your levels here. My favorite thing is you got peaking, and then you have zebras, and then you have the negative color, which for me is, let me turn this down, which for me is really cool with lighting and how lighting works and how I'm trying to get into lighting more. Very, very, very excited about this purchase, and full review in the coming weeks. So the ability to shoot 4K 60 and 4K 20, both in S and Q mode, really make this camera something special. And mostly because when you flip it into S and Q mode, you can replay those frame rates in camera so you can see what you're getting. But with this being a largely handheld camera, to have in-body and lens stabilization, but also have the ability to shoot in slow motion in 4K and be able to crop or throw it into resolve and do a stabilization and have a little bit of crop there, you have a lot of freedom and a lot you can play with. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of 60, a little bit of 120, and we're gonna see how this looks. All right, got my afternoon coffee. Let's talk tally lights. Tally lights is something that is very important to a cinema line camera like this, the FX3, and just important altogether because the amount of times, especially on my Fuji, that I've thought I was recording, shot an entire 10, 12 minute A-roll video and realized I wasn't recording has happened more times than I wish to admit. Now again, can't show you because it's being shot from the camera, but there is 3 tally lights on this camera, and as I get my phone out to record them, we have tally light on the screen, so you can see right there. Tally light, and then as I get up and come around the back of the camera, tally light, and tally light. So actually, there's 4 tally lights, and that's important. So when I talk about the tally light, that's something that's specific to cinema cameras. Almost all cinema cameras have it, and this one just has a good amount of them. But now I want to kind of switch gears and talk about the FX30, the FX3, and the FX6. And kind of, the FX9 is a whole different level, but those are kind of like the FX starter to pro to consumer cameras. The FX30 is this camera, but it's a crop sensor. And by that, this is a full frame, so you get full frame 4K, full frame slow motion, full frame everything. But with the FX30, you get a crop on everything. You get a crop on 4K 120 that has a crop on top of it, so you get like an extra crop. When choosing this camera, it was 2 years down the line, 1 year down the line, am I gonna be happy with a crop sensor? And the answer was no. So it was worth what this was, double the price. And then the difference between this and the FX6 is there's actually a lot of similarities between the FX3 and the FX6. What the FX6 has that the FX3 doesn't have is built-in ND filters, which is pretty cool and real important. It has a built-in XLR, which you can get it with the correct handle. I have the correct handle for it that can kind of make the FX3 XLR accessible. And the FX6 also has dual native ISO. The FX6 is double the price of this, and it looks more like a pro level camera, but at the end of the day, you're really getting very close to the same things with the FX3 and the FX6. The things you get with the FX6, in my opinion, you're looking for them. You're looking for ND filters, you're looking for dual native ISO, and you're looking for those little extra features. But I mean, at this price for a cinema camera of this level, you can't go wrong. And then if you need something a little bit less, that you still want that cinema level line and you don't care about your sensor crop, the FX30 is a great choice. So I'm gonna finish my coffee, I'm gonna watch a little bit of Netflix, and then I'm gonna take you guys through some editing on my computer over here. I kind of want to jump into my studio and kind of show you how color correcting this S-Log looks. So the first shot I'm gonna do is this shot of the bridge out at about South Seattle. So the first thing I do is I come into the color tab. Option S gives me a new node, and from there I put my S-Log to 709 on there, and that's kind of what I saw through camera when I talked about the recording LUTs. So from there, that's what it looks like, and then I put a LUT on top of that, and that's when I do my actual color correction. So for this clip, I bring the shading down, I bring the contrast up a bit, maybe the saturation down. It's a bit yellow, so I blew it up a bit because it's not summer. I come over the curves, and I usually like to do like a slight S curve. And that's kind of how I would do this clip. And as you can see, the before to the after. That's just a small example. If you're interested in how I color an entire video, comment down below if that's a video you'd be into seeing, and we can make it happen. So I've gone over 4 things with you guys already, and the 5th thing is gonna come when I get back from the gym. So with that, I'm gonna go work out. Stay tuned for this 5th thing I like about this camera, and we'll talk about it when I get back. So it looks so cool outside right now with the rain and kind of just like the almost darkness that I wish I had the FX3 with me, but I don't. So later on, I'm gonna make a video on what it's like to shoot with a cinema camera in the rain right at night, and you can see the cool colors hitting off the ground. So that video coming later on. All right, so I got Chipotle for dinner. I've really been craving it, but let's talk about the 5th thing, and it's the autofocus. And not just the FX3, but the autofocus just in Sony's in general. It's top of the line, and the FX3 is no different. The trust you have in this thing with the autofocus and being able to focus no matter where you're looking, no matter where you're at, is just great. And autofocus is something we really trust. We really trust in when we're shooting that we have a good autofocus and trust that you're getting the shot. And this is no difference. It's got the eye focus, it's got the face focus. I mean, some of these cameras have like animal and bird focuses, but top of the line, the FX30 and the FX6 both have some better focus breathing in the autofocus modes, but when you throw this thing in manual and you manual focus things, like when I'm holding the handle, the focus breathing on that is extremely good. So autofocus is the last thing. So that's it with this video. That's kind of like my day in the life using the FX3, and this thing is the best camera I've ever purchased and worth every cent I've paid for it. And I'm gonna have a full review of this camera later on. To do so, because I have to shoot with this camera, I'll probably have to rent a camera, so it'll either be an FX3, an FX30, or an FX6 just to play around with it. and do a full review on this. So if you're interested in that, comment down below. So make sure you like and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.